Hey guys, it's Ellie. Today I'm going to be making muffins. You can find this recipe on allrecipes.com. I'll leave the link down below. So let's get into it. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need 2 cups of flour, a half a cup of white sugar, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt, which I've mixed in here together. You're going to need 3/4 of a cup of milk, 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 1/4 of a cup of white sugar, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm doubling my recipe today, so I'm going to have bigger proportions, but let's get into it. So, the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to wash our hands. It's always important to wash your hands because if you don't wash your hands, and especially if you're baking for somebody else, you could get them sick or it's just not clean. So I'm just going to wash my hands. After I wash my hands, I'm going to preheat the oven. Today we're going to need to preheat our oven to, I believe, 350. So we're going to preheat our oven to 350. We're going to need 2 cups of flour here. So with our 2 cups of flour, we're going to add in half a cup of sugar, our baking powder, and our salt. Then we're going to mix that well. You can mix this with a spatula, a whisk. It really doesn't matter. As long as you get it really mixed in together, you'll be good. Alright, so that's all mixed in well. You can see, because you don't see any of the sugar particles and you don't see any of those little particles of any of the other ingredients. So now what we're going to do is in a smaller bowl, which I need to get out. So if you're doing a double batch, you're going to want to make sure that you have larger bowls. So I have a medium-sized bowl. You only need like a small-sized bowl for this. So yeah. But we're going to combine our milk, oil, eggs, and then we're going to blend that well. So there's our milk. One thing I like to do when I crack my eggs is I like to put down like a wet wipe or even a paper towel and just crack them over that so that cleanup is easier. And you always want to make sure that you're cleaning as you go. I was taught that by my mother, and it truly does help because I don't have to clean up a huge mess at the end. Alright, so I'm just going to throw those away because you don't need any eggshells in there. After I do that, I'm going to add in my 1/3 of a cup of oil. And we're going to mix that until well combined as we did with the others. So I'm just going to use a spoon. I'm going to beat that well. If you are doing the proportions that are there, you can easily use a fork to combine this so that you can use a fork to beat it so that you break up those egg yolks, because you don't want whole egg yolks in your muffins. This is what well combined should look like. You should get that yellowy tint, and it might be a little bubbly. After you do that, you're going to want to make sure that you add your wet ingredients to your dry ingredients. So you're going to add your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients together. You're going to add the dry ingredients all at once, and the batter will be moist and lumpy. So I'm going to actually add it into here because it is a bigger bowl and it's going to be easier for me to add it into here. I'm just going to mix that all up. You want to be careful because you don't want to get it everywhere around your kitchen. So we're getting there. You can still see all the flour and stuff, but it's going to be moist and lumpy. Now, for when we put these in the oven, you can easily make mini ones, which I think are great for on the go. You can easily pack them into a bag and put them and just eat them, whether you're at school, whether you're at work. You can make larger ones, which is what I will be doing today. And yeah. You can also grease your pans, or you can use cupcake liners or muffin tin liners, which I think are easier, but today I will be greasing my pans for the sake of this video and for what I'm making. So this is what your batter should look like. It should look really thick, lumpy, and like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our muffin tin. Here is my muffin tin. I'm going to grease it with, you can use any spray. You can use coconut oil spray, regular canola oil. It all depends on what they are being used for. You want to make sure you spray all sides. When you're spraying something, you really should spray it over the sink if it's a pan, for example. But today I'm just doing this because this is so much easier. Woo! Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop it into here. So you can use your spoon, you can use your hands. It really doesn't matter what you put it in. You may be asking, why did we not use all of the ingredients? That is going to be for after we bake them, to make them really cinnamony and sugary and good. So I'm just filling them up, not all the way, but basically 3/4 of the way. And I'm just going to keep filling these up, and then we're going to put them in the oven. Okay, so I'm putting my last bits of batter into there. It should be a batter, but it should be more doughy. If recipe yields 12, and if depending on how much you put in each tin, it may yield less. If you don't know what yield means, it means the amount of servings it will make. So this is supposed to make, since I'm doing a double batch, it's supposed to make 24, but I have 3 that are empty, and that's okay. My muffins will be bigger. So now I'm going to put them into my oven because my oven is now preheated to 400 degrees. You want to make sure you preheat it at the beginning so that when you're ready to put your muffins in, they can go in. Make sure you're careful when you're putting it into the oven because you never know, you could burn yourself. So this would be a time where I'm going to clean it up and I'm going to finish up my little recipe. So now I'm going to make the cinnamon sugar topping. So what you're going to need for that is that 1/4 cup of sugar, that 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and that 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Since I am doing a double batch, I have more. I have 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of that ground cinnamon, and 4 tablespoons of that melted butter. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this cinnamon and this sugar and just stir it together. It doesn't have to be too well combined, but it needs to be well combined enough to where when you dip in, you get the cinnamon sugar all together. Should be a light brown. You want to make sure you don't have any big clumps like over here of that cinnamon, so that each muffin gets the same amount of cinnamon and sugar. So that's good. Once they come out of the oven, what we're going to do is we're going to dip the tops in the melted butter. Once we dip the tops in the melted butter, we're going to quickly dip them into the cinnamon sugar mixture, and so they get that cinnamon sugar. So your muffins will be baking for 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so our muffins are just about done. We have 6 seconds left, and we're going to check them, and then if they're done, we're going to pull them out of the oven. Okay, so here's how you're going to want to check them. They're golden brown, so that's good. That's what you want. Then you're just going to really quickly take a toothpick, stick it in, just see if they're done. So I'm going to take this big one here. This is done. And nothing comes off, so we're good. So I'm just going to take them out of the oven, and I'm going to let them sit here for just a second, not too long. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly just put some butter over the tops. Not too much. So you want to have that parchment or that wax paper underneath so that when you have that butter run off your muffins, you have that underneath. I'm trying to be quick about this just so that when I add on my cinnamon sugar, it easily stays and sticks. Alright, once I have all my butter out, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this, just going to go like this, and you want to make sure you get all the sides. You get that cinnamon sugar on there, and it's so pretty, especially if you have your butter just run off. It's kind of pretty because it kind of just goes there. Really pretty, and just dip these. And yeah, so let's try one of these. Let's cut one of these open and try it. Looks beautiful and good. So good. So this recipe is really easy. Like I said, you can find it on allrecipes.com. It's really easy, and it doesn't take too much time. We've only been doing this for probably about maybe 45 to 50 minutes. So it's something you can easily whip up after school if you want to do it for your kids, or easily something that you can make for their breakfast. So remember to like, subscribe, and remember to be a good person. Bye!